Welcome back to another episode of 49ers Playbook, the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game. We're going to continue our review of the 49ers Week 6 win over the Los Angeles Rams. In this episode, we're going to focus on looking at how Robert Saleh and the 49ers defense was able to limit Jared Goff to only 78 passing yards, a career low for him. The pass rush was so dominant that with only about 3.5 minutes left in the game, the Rams' total passing yards was only 30 yards passing. So let's just take a look at exactly what the 49ers were doing scheme-wise and execution-wise to have such a great day. So this was a key play. It's early in the third quarter. This is a second down play, but this sets up a third down stop. After this, the Rams get a penalty, and then they're backed way up. But this was a play where they're trying to get some positive yards on second down to set up either a third and short or third and manageable or even pick up a first down. You know, Robert Saleh has taken a lot of heat over the last couple of years, especially from fans, and I know Kyle always stood behind him, but fans weren't always really excited about the guy. This is a play where I love what he dials up here, and this is amazing from top to bottom with the players' execution and what we pull off here. There's a lot of things that he did scheme-wise on this play, and so this is one reason I want to talk about this play in particular. So let's dive right in. There's a lot to talk about, so just try and stick with me. So first we'll talk about what LA was trying to do. They're going to come out with bunch receivers down to the bottom. And what they're going to do is they're going to run a double post here, and they're going to kind of mix up these releases so that they get clear releases. They're going to bring these two guys on double posts, and then they're going to bring Robert Woods here on a short crossing route or shallow drag route, whichever way you want to call it. This receiver is just going to run an up and out, and they're going to run the running back out into the flat. He's going to create kind of like a curl flat concept or double out here. So we have double post, and then this also creates a levels concept over here. It's a high-low read for the quarterback. He checks high to low. So we have a horizontal stretch in the intermediate zones, and then we have a vertical stretch down the middle. What we're going to do, if I clear all this off, is we're going to come back and we're just going to play man coverage. Now, it's not your regular man coverage. If you've seen some of my videos before, we don't play straight man up. Now, when it's a clear indication like here, we're going to have just straight man coverage. Over here, we're going to have Quan Alexander is going to be on the running back. When they do a bunch set like this, we run what's called a pattern matching man coverage, meaning what they do is that they read the release of the receivers and they will man up depending on the release. Now, we show Jimmy Ward here as a high safety. He's actually going to rotate down and take the intermediate receiver in man coverage, and then we will drop Jaquiski Tart into the single safety. So this is, again, another way we've disguised the defense and dropping it down. We've also got this muddled look up front to really mess with what Jared Goff's going to be seeing. And then as far as coverage, this is Emmanuel Mosley. He's going to be taking the first outside or vertical release to the outside receiver. Jimmy Ward picks up the intermediate receiver, and then we're going to drop Fred Warner, and he's going to pick up the first underneath or inside release receiver this direction. So you have defenders that are going to be picking up receivers not based upon he's got Cooper Kupp or he's got Robert Woods. Is going to be he's picking up whoever is coming into his zone versus kind of a zone into man situation where they're reading the release, and whoever enters their zone, which will be outside vertical first, that's who they pick up. And what we're going to end up doing is blitzing K'Waun Williams, off the edge. And when I get to the end zone view, we can talk about what we did scheme-wise on this way to set up our pass rush. But this is what our coverage looks like. It's a really complex coverage, and it takes smart players to execute. And so let's see exactly how we execute this defense. So from the snap, you're going to see K'Waun Williams is going to be coming off the slot, and here Fred Warner turns and immediately is going to look to identify what receiver will be entering his area and for him to pick up. You have Richard Sherman is going to Quan Alexander, is going to jam the running back coming out. And so here you can see Jimmy Ward and E-Man and Fred Warner. Notice their eyes. They're all looking at the receivers. That's a strong indicator of man coverage. And what they're doing is that they're reading the releases the entire way. And so as you see here, they didn't just go as they bunched up. We have Robert Woods, I showed him inside earlier, and he wasn't. He was outside, but he's going to be outside and coming across. Normally in straight man coverage, this works for the offense because these two guys will run interference on the corner following him. But here, this is why you pattern match, so that they cannot get these pick rub plays to work. The downside of that for a defense is that you now have a linebacker matched up against Robert Woods, which is usually not a win. But look at Fred Warner here. He's reading both the receivers here, and he's seeing that there's going to be the underneath route, and he understands exactly what's about to happen here. He sees Cooper Kupp coming intermediate, and he understands. You see he's giving one last glance here to make sure he's continuing to come in. He understands what concept this defense or the offense is trying to run. So watch how he plays this. He's going to settle down, not get too aggressive on the drag, and help take away this in on the other side. So here you see Jimmy Ward has identified the intermediate middle receiver, and so he's attacking that. Mosley has the outside receiver. So here we've perfectly picked up the release of the receivers, and you see Jared Goff is looking down, and who he thought was going to be in zone or a man is now dropped as a deep safety. He's trying to read him, and he looks down the middle, and he sees Fred Warner is playing these routes in between. And so he momentarily is giving help for Jimmy Ward, and he's taken away both routes. He has an angle to drive on the shallow cross, and he's sitting in between. This is really good defense by Fred Warner. So Robert Woods is going to try and sit this route down, and Jared Goff expects a little bit, but he's under a lot of pressure and can't make an accurate throw. So watch the beauty of these three guys in coverage picking up these receivers as they release. That's really good. I mean, that is a complex, tough defense thing to do, and that's in a very short period of time. So I really like our execution on the back end here. This is a really good job of doing it. We get a nice jam on these sides, slows everybody down, and really just leaves Jared Goff with nowhere to go, especially considering how effective our pass rush is. So let's jump to the end zone view, and we'll talk about our pass rush. From this view, we'll really get to see what Robert Saleh did as far as scheming-wise to get some free rushers at Jared Goff, and this is just beauty in motion. So one reason you come with this big muddled front is it puts a lot of strain on the offensive line to identify who's coming and who isn't. We have Fred Warner here is over the A gap, and what that means now is if you count all the potential rushers, because we've also brought Jaquiski Tart down, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4 rushers with 1, 2, 3, 4 potential blockers. So what that does for the offense then is that occupies everybody on this side of the line, including the running back. Now on the other side, you have 1, 2 for 1, 2 potential rushers, but what we're going to do is end up bringing K'Wan Williams off the edge, and that will now create an unaccounted for rusher because you've been able to put numbers on the other side to occupy everybody who can block that way. The line cannot shift away from them because if they slide away, then they leave the potential for an unblocked man at the line of scrimmage. So you bring this muddled look where you are putting players in a position to occupy blockers or where they have to be accounted for, and then you bring a guy who won't be accounted for. So what this ends up doing is how we end up rushing is we're going to send Nick Bosa off the edge. We're going to bring DeForest Buckner across the face of the center, and this way he will occupy the center and the guard. So now you have the tackle, the guard, and the center occupied. You have Quan Alexander is on the running back, so if he stays in a block, he's going to come that direction, so the running back is occupied. On the other side, what we're going to do is we're going to take D Ford and bring him on a stunt. We're going to run a stunt with him and Ronald Blair. Ronald Blair is going to come around inside. So again, because you've caused the offense to account for different guys, now D Ford is going to occupy the guard and the tackle. So this means Ronald Blair will be unaccounted for and come in. And if they pick up that stunt well, then now you have K'Wan Williams coming off the edge. And what ends up happening on this play is that D Ford occupies the guard and the tackle, and so we get both Ronald Blair and K'Wan Williams coming unblocked against this line. So this is how you can manufacture pressure by making the offense account for rushers that aren't actually going to be rushing, because we are going to end up having 3 guys on this side drop into coverage in one way or another. So this is great execution of pre-snap disguise through the execution of what we do. So if we jump to the film here, as we go, you're going to see here that the guard first had to look out in case Fred Warner was there, in case the linebacker came or Nick Bosa came up inside. And the tackle is looking to take up Nick Bosa. The guard is on D Ford. D Ford pulls this stunt really well. He attacks the outside shoulder of the guard and is going to move into the tackle, into his way. He's not trying to hold him. He's not doing the old Justin Smith, hold this guy and come over here. He makes it look like a pass rush and then gets in the way of the tackle. And so Ronald Blair comes up inside. So here you have DeForest Buckner has occupied his 2 guys. D Ford has occupied his 2 guys. And now we have an open lane for Blair and K'Wan Williams. So as Jared Goff is looking down the field trying to identify who he's going to throw to, here he's seeing this throwing lane that you have Fred Warner sitting right in, and that's why he ends up choking it and trying to throw it down, but he has to get the ball out because he's got 2 guys right about to hit him, and he can't step into the throw. This is why the throw is inaccurate. He gets hit as he's throwing, and we've manufactured a pass rush. So this is why I say that this play I love the execution from the back end to the front end, and I love the call and design by Robert Saleh. This is a really good play and really good execution from top to bottom. Well, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you maybe learned something new about it this time. It's been fun to watch the 49ers this year as we continue to rack up wins and execute at a high level. So as always, you can like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos reviewing this game against the Rams, and hopefully within the next couple of days we'll start looking at some scout film on the Redskins, see how that's going to turn out. But thanks for tuning in, and go Niners.